Lately, I've been thinking a lot about making a video either weekly or twice a month that is about autism in the news. Very frequently, I see stories about autism, and usually it's something that I would love to talk about. At this point, I've been scheduling my regular videos and vlogs every day except for Saturday. And so at this point, I'm planning on posting these videos either every Saturday morning or every other Saturday morning. And I guess that will depend on how busy a news week is, but it seems like autism is a very popular subject in the news, and that is one of the reasons that I want to make these videos. First, I want to start out with some really great news, because I think we could all use some really good news right now. And that good news is that a 28-year-old man who went missing in Independence, Missouri was found and reunited with his family. And that also an 11-year-old boy who went missing in Rochester was found. He went missing Sunday at 10 p.m. and he actually was found 7 miles away, which I relate to so much, because Maggie, when she's gone missing, has been found relatively quickly every time, but she has always gone so far, so fast. So I can totally understand how a kid could get 7 miles. He was found the next morning, frightened, cold, but he is fine. And an employee of a business found him and gave him hot chocolate and a jacket and food, and he is back with his family too. So both of those are very, very good pieces of news. I feel like there are always so many stories of eloping during the summer, and so often they end tragically, that hearing the good stories that have happy endings, where the people who eloped end up back with their families, is just amazing. Because I feel like we've been so blessed with the close calls that we've had with our very determined eloper. That just, it makes me really happy. Not that anyone had to go through that, because I know it's scary for everyone involved, but that those stories had a happy ending. This is a story that I saw in Medical News Today that I found very interesting. It's a story that's coming out of Canada. It says that researchers at University of Waterloo in Canada are looking at alternative methods of diagnosing autism, and they're looking at being able to do it without questionnaires, without psychological examinations. They're trying to do it in a manner that they feel is less stressful, by tracking a child's gaze or tracking a person's gaze, and by being able to diagnose autism in that way, which is really interesting, because in 3 of the studies that Tessie was involved in, they used computer programs to track where her eyes were throughout the study, and to track what her eyes were doing and what she was looking at. And so I found that to be really interesting. And it said, our method allows for the diagnosis to be made more easily and with less possibility of mistakes. And they say that it can be used in all autism diagnoses, but it's believed to be particularly effective in children. So it will be interesting to see if anything comes of that, or if they're able to make use of that in the future for identifying autism at younger ages, or possibly identifying maybe the possibility of autism at younger ages. This is one that was all over my Facebook this week, and I clicked on it really fast when I saw it, and it was that ASON, the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, had ended its partnership with Sesame Street. A lot of us were really excited when Sesame Street announced the creation of Julia, which was a autistic character on Sesame Street. However, there's a good reason for this break between ASON and Sesame Street, and they are breaking with Sesame Street over a series of public service announcements that are going out during Sesame Street that promote Autism Speaks. They said that the content Sesame Street produced showed parents that their autistic children could live great lives, and taught autistic and neurotypical children ways to become friends, which was awesome. And that while these public service announcements use a language of acceptance while they're pushing these resources, the resources that they're pushing further stigmatize autistic people and treat them as burdens on their families, which has long been a huge problem with that organization, and is one of the reasons that a lot of people don't light it up blue for April, including our family. Things in this 100-day kit that they are pushing suggest unrelated frustrations with spouses or family members are actually caused by autistic children. Compare a diagnosis to a child dying, and to quote, view autism as a terrible disease from which their child can get better. And this Autistic Self-Advocacy Network spoke with Sesame Street about this and why it was harmful, and they acknowledged that, but they would not reconsider the collaboration with Autism Speaks. And so I feel like they really summed it up when they said, now Sesame Street has decided to let See Amazing become just another vehicle for Autism Speaks to spread the same old toxic ideas, which is really, really disappointing. Next, we have a study that came out of the Journal of the American Medical Association Psychiatry, and basically in the largest study of their kind that involved more than 2 million people across 5 countries, they're finding that autism is about 80% reliant on genetics. One of the researchers in the article said the contribution of the environment to autism spectrum disorder risk appears to be much smaller than the contribution of genetics, which was published on July 17th. The researchers of this study looked at the medical histories of more than 2 million children born in Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Israel, and Western Australia between 1998 and 2012, and it tracked all of them until they were 16 years of age. Of the group, just over 22,000 went on to become autistic, and of those, 80% had a genetic reason for their autism, and only 1% had a risk that was said to be due to maternal factors. Dr. Andrew Eidsman of Cohen Children's Medical Center in New York said, although families are often most concerned about environmental risk factors for autism, the reality is that genetic factors play a much larger role overall. That is it for the autism news this week. I am still really, really happy about the happy ending for those first 2 stories at the beginning of this. Have you seen any autism articles or stories in the news that you found interesting? If you want to share about them or chat about them down in the comments, I would love to hear about them, because I know sometimes I can probably be overwhelming to people when I'm talking about stuff like this, which is one of the reasons that I decided to make this video. And so I am absolutely here for anyone who wants to share their thoughts on this week's news. That is it for today. If you like this video, I would love it if you'd give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in all things autism, we'd love it if you'd hit subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.